Rob and Jill, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. It's really an honor because I got a chance to meet you guys in person in Vegas at the Mastermind Summit, and that was really great, a fantastic connection. And I think it's a rare thing that, well, one, I mean, I get to meet face-to-face people who listen to the podcast, but also meet face-to-face people that I think, how can I say this without sounding too cheesy? I just get the vibe, the sense that I get from you guys is that you're good quality people, you care, and you really want to make a difference in what you do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to acknowledge you.
To my wife.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do this for the listeners. Let's kind of give a quick summary of who you guys are, right? So where are you in Michigan?
So we're on what we call the West Coast or the West Shore of Michigan. So right along, anybody from Michigan puts their hand up, right? So we're on the outside, the opposite of the thumb side, right in the middle.
Oh, right in the middle.
Yeah,
right.
Right on
in
Lake
the middle
Michigan.
of the coast.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. So what lake are you on though?
Yeah, so we're right on Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Lake Michigan. Okay, great. All right. So you're in Lake Michigan, and how long have you been in the mortgage business?
About 23 years.
About 23 years. And you guys, have you always worked together?
On and off. I was actually in real estate, and that's what I bring to the team is with our marketing and social media and our Realtor Partners.
Mm-hmm.
I take the experience that I have being a realtor and then work with our Realtor Partners on things in their own businesses. So we've worked together for the last 2 years, but I also did some marketing and things like that throughout the years for his team.
Plus, she has a little bit of background. She actually started about 23 or 4 years ago. She actually did some mortgage stuff too. And so she was a teacher, and then she's been throughout the years helping me with different marketing stuff. But so most recently she's come on board with our company and is doing all of our social media marketing, kind of community outreach, and we can talk more about.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like you're doing a great job. All right. So to define the roles then, Rob, would you call yourself the originator basically in the business? Yeah.
So we have a fairly small branch that's doing a lot of production. So I and my partner manage the branch, but we also have our own teams. So I'm an originator and also branch manager. And on my team, I have Jill, my wife, and I have a LP1 that's kind of helping take in the information, then a LP2 setting up for processing, and I have a processor. And then we have our marketing team. We have 3 people in our marketing team, and they actually help with everybody in the branch.
Okay. Got it. So you've been originating about 23 years or so. Right. Main source of business?
Realtor referrals is about 80%. Right now, if you looked at my pipeline, you'd see a lot of refis, mainly because we started doing annual reviews and connecting back with our clients. So after 23 years, I've got I think maybe 4,000 people in my database, and so now we have a system set up, which I actually got from you guys or one of your podcast calls about do the annual review calls with the Sly broadcast. So that's working great. And that has been, I had to tell Jill last week, okay, we got to shut this off a little bit.
Too much.
So I'm actually in the process of hiring a new team member. So right now we're a little shorthanded. So honestly, we had to shut the valve off a little bit.
Right. And by the way, so just give us a little sense for the listeners, right? So the Sly broadcast is where you upload a list of phone numbers to this thing called Sly broadcast, and you do like a refi message to their voicemail, and the phone rings like crazy. So I'm just curious, like for you, what quantity of calls did that generate? Because you have a large database. I assume you didn't do it all at once. How did you break that down?
Yeah, so there's 2 pieces to it. One is just the annual review call. So anybody closed in that month over the years, and we actually cut it off. I think 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly. So we didn't go back 23 years.
Yeah,
just a handful. So just the annual review calls, and obviously you're in the business. You knew a year ago these rates were like high 4s, some of them were low 5s, and so just the annual review calls with those folks is generating tons of refis. So we call just that month we do the slide broadcast. I was using hey, they can schedule their own appointments, but a lot of them just, that for whatever reason, they just called in anyway. So we just scrapped that piece of it.
Yep.
But so that's one part of it. The other part is we identified who was in a higher rates over the years, and we basically just put that group in place, and we didn't do them all. We do. I've got honestly 8 pages of people that should be refinancing because they're 4.75 or higher.
Yeah.
And so what we did a slide broadcast with that, and also Jill actually just started calling them, and so just saying, hey, wanted to reach out, and that generated a ton of business.
Okay. So on average, how many units are you doing, over the course of, I know it's spiked with the refis and stuff, but generally on average, what are you doing?
I do anywhere from about 220 to 250 units a year.
Okay. So that's a lot.
Yeah. I just looked at the numbers. We're at, I think, 30.5 million in volume and 175 closed deals. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I was going to ask you, what do you use for database management or CRM? How do you manage those 4,000 past clients?
Yeah. So, excuse me, we have, so we use Encompass, and then part of their CRM is mortgage returns.
Okay.
So that's what we're using. To me, the best CRM is the one that you use. And so rather than having something that was, I'm sure there's more robust platforms out there, but for me, was easy to manage and use, and so that's what we use, and it's actually great.
No, you're 100% right, and all the bells and whistles don't matter if you're not using it.
Right.
Okay, that's awesome. So way to leverage that. And you right before we recorded, you mentioned there's how many deals do you have in the pipeline right now? Live active deals?
I just counted 59 live active deals. This is just my team.
Yeah.
So we've got 5 loan officers, and we've got 140 something going. But me, I have 59.
Wow. Yeah. So you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
You guys are both busy. All right. So thank you for that setup. And, in terms of like just getting an understanding and context of where you're at in the business, tenure and all that kind of jazz. That's awesome. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Or at least for me and Jill, and that's the marketing and the sales.
Yeah. Well, that's how I found you. It was
So about 80% of your business is realtors, and obviously in preparing for this interview, and I've talked before, is I'm trying to get piece together, some of the, I mean, look, we've got limited time on a podcast, right? So we're looking for the nuggets, the real leverage moving points. What would be, if most of your business is realtors, what's your main source of activating those relationships?
So we used to do lunch and learns. Now we're calling them more strategic planning or just courses. And we're using the Mortgage Marketing Pro PowerPoints to a great degree. Minimally 1 class per month, whether it's at a brokerage or we do it offsite and bring multiple brokerages together.
Okay.
Today we were just in an office. We really stick with the 80-20 rule, where we really don't go into offices unless we're adding value in some way. We're teaching them how to do Facebook. We're teaching them content marketing, something. Today we went in and talked about Michigan Mortgage and what we do. That doesn't happen very often, but we have such great relationships with all of these brokerages because we've kind of become the place that they call us. One brokerage has us set up for October, November, and January to do a class.
Really?
We'll have probably 30 to 35 realtors at each of those classes. So we really have been trying to leverage with the classes, and it's the follow-up, Jeff. Like, for example, there was one new realtor today, so I will follow up with her. I'll put her in our database. She'll start getting my VIP realtor. I'll go into our VIP Facebook page and my once a week VIP email, which is also value added things for their businesses. So we really have found to leverage using the classes and then follow-ups with the email or a call and then coffee, popping into our office to meet our staff so they feel comfortable with us, and coffee and everything. And then when we meet with them, we actually kind of interview new realtors. We ask them questions about their business. We don't talk about what we do. I can send these to you too, so you have them, but It's more, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How did you get into the business? What are your goals? What would prohibit you from reaching those goals? And how can we fill in those gaps with our graphics design person, our marketing people? What can we do to help you in your business?
Wait a minute, you're not telling them all about Michigan Mortgage and how you close on time? And
No, we wait. We really do.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that, because today we actually went in and we said, listen, we do the 80-20 or 90.
right.
We've been providing, and so we've been in there 4 or 5 times, and we finally came in, with the right hook, right? So
yes.
So we came in today and just said, listen, this is the reason that you guys should be using us. And we went through, but it was actually, to me, it's a lot of value add.
It was all the value adds for them, really.
Because the app, the new app that we're using through Simple Nexus, that's an amazing app. That's really cool. So we've kind of showing them some of the unique stuff that we're doing and some of the things that we're doing for them. So it was actually value added as well.
Right.
It was more about why they should use us.
Well, no, and like you said, there's an appropriate time to do that. But I think let's just make it clear that that you didn't go there until you had already established a rapport and value and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So I know you're big with the value add with the classes and pouring into the real estate brokerages. Well, I'm just thinking, right? I'm always thinking like with the listener, what some of the questions they might be asking in their head. So that's why I try and like bring those to the surface. Give us a quick kind of like just sketch out, like how long have you been working with maybe a handful of those brokerages? How did you get in there in the first place? Are you the only lender, or is there that constant noise for other lenders? The stuff we all face.
I think we've been doing the lunch and learns for years and years and years, where we used to put the PowerPoints together ourselves and everything. One of the things, so we've been doing a lot of lunch and learns. We also have really established these relationships with realtors over the years, where we take realtors out for lunch. We have client and realtor appreciation events. We have happy hours. People know us in the area, and we try to go really deep with those relationships. So we just are in touch with our realtors a lot. So then what makes it easy is when we go into an office today, 2 of the realtors are like, hey, Jill, this realtor over here is new. You need to get with her and she needs to talk to you. We had a broker last week who we actually just started doing stuff with, and they had 2 new realtors, and that we met with that realtor in our office last week to see what she needed. She's a new realtor. She just called me yesterday and wants to look at financing for herself. And then this morning by 8:00, she had sent over a friend.
Wow.
So sitting down and talking to people and finding out about them and truly like caring about them and how can we help you in your life and in your business is our model, I think.
And a lot of these places that are calling us, they actually have desk rentals in there, relationships with other lenders. They're just not getting the content or the from their other lenders. The other lenders are so focused on doing loans that they're just not getting anything else from them. So we've concentrated like lots of places. We really wanted to get our systems down, and we've done that for 20 years. We're really, really good at doing loans. Obviously we do, but now we're just getting good at the relationship piece.
Yeah. Right. And it helps to have Jill obviously focused on that as well.
Right, for sure.
And so I think, Jeff, so this might make it easier for listeners. I know it helps me when people kind of So once a month, some sort of a class, maybe not in July or December when people are really busier, around here, we're more seasonal with loans and realtors are too. But once a month, 2 coffees or lunches a week with either a realtor partner that we've had for a number of time or a new one. Anytime our board of realtors, a new class comes out, I go through it and I send notes. And then I'll reach out to some of those people to sit down and meet. So I have goals each week and each month and each year, how many people we want to get in front of.
Okay. Oh, really? So like how many agents you want to be in front of per year?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really specific.
Yeah. So to me, easily we should be in front of 300 agents to 400.
Is that collectively including the classes, or is that just the?
No, that's with the classes.
Okay.
was last year. So I think this year I'll probably bump that up a little bit.
Yep.
We're actually hiring another person to do some of what I do because it's so impactful and has worked so well for us with some of our other loan officers.
Oh, yes. I see. Yeah. You're equipping other LOs to kind of duplicate your model.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the position, for lack of a better word, is almost like a promoter position. So we've been so focused on doing loans, we haven't had that position. When Joe came on, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like opening a whole new door of opportunities to get these deeper relationships with agents.
How would you say, I know you've been doing lunch and learns for like a long time in your career, but I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, that at least as long as we've known each other, maybe you've kind of refined it or stepped it up or made it more of a thing. If you know what I mean?
Because we don't call them lunch and learns anymore. It's basically, I mean, the people in the brokerage offices that schedule classes and stuff will contact me now. Can you guys come in? And what we've really tried to do, Jeff, is I'm trying to certify as many of the classes so that the realtors get CE credits. Now, it doesn't matter. We still get in, but to me, I used to be a realtor. If we can get them 2 CE credits or a CE credit, we like to be able to offer that.
Okay.
I've been taking the transcripts and breaking them down. In fact, I just shared them with Michelle Otto for one of our classes. I shared that with her. She reached out to me, and I'm happy to do that. I know every state is different, but we've pretty easy time. We've got 2 of them certified right now, and I have a 3rd one that we're going to send in.
Do you think having your classes getting CE approved, does that impact attendance?
I think it.
Or is it just more so the panache, the perception?
Yeah. I think it
might just add legitimacy.
Yeah.
And especially for people who are listening who maybe they haven't been in the business 2 years, maybe they're newer to the business, but to be able to go in and say, this offers a CE credit, they're going to look like they know what they're doing more. Yeah. So I highly suggest taking the time to do that.
So just a little plug for you. So over the years, in order to do a lunch and learn, I would have to put the content together, take time away from actually originating to do that.
Right.
And it was not easy to get really good content. It's helped us tremendously to take your content and we tweak it a little bit to make it kind of our own, which you've given.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you should. You're not me.
So when we can put our app in there and have a link it out and show them how to use our app, or we have what we call a Realtor Resource Center on our Michigan mortgage page that has marketing information for the realtor. It has client information. It has market information. You'll have to check it out on our Michigan.
I'm looking at it right now. We're going to talk about it.
Okay.
I see. I have to opt in to get in there, though.
No, you just have to give your email.
Email address is nothing.
Okay, I'll put that in right now.
But we don't do anything with it. It doesn't really opt in. we thought about that, but we're not.
We did that initially because we were going to try to make it more of an exclusive, or at least seemingly more exclusive. But honestly, we don't do anything with the email address.
Yeah. And before I forget too as well, and I don't want to make this all about, being a pro member, but I do want to make sure I acknowledge you in public for everybody else. You are our member of the month for our pro members.
That was really cool. Thank you.
And it's just because you have a great heart, you're a giver and you're an encourager, I guess. And you're always encouraging new members when they come in. So I want to make sure I acknowledge you for that.
Well, it's a joy. And I hope if anybody has questions, they reach out. That was one of the cool things about seeing you in Las Vegas and getting to know you and Michelle and some other sometimes you have questions or things you want to run by people, and it's nice to have that group that
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We all learn and grow together. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, all right. So let's then talk about seeing, as we just mentioned, at your Realtor Resource Center. As I'm looking at this, let me just see here. Okay, so we got different categories or topics. What are you trying to do with that?
So that's for just realtors. So one of the things that we find when we go in to teach our realtors classes, we try to teach them the 80-20 rule. There's a few things that we hammer at them. We go through the content marketing and then the PowerPoints and things. But the ways are start your Facebook business page. Start with twice a week if that's all you can do, and be consistent, or 3 times a week.
Yep.
Okay, where can you get resources? And I actually have some things in there. We write our own blog posts. We also, I curate, I get things all the time. I listen to podcasts. I read, things from MBS Highway, from all sorts of things, so that I can say, hey, this is an article you can put on your Facebook business page that adds value to your clients. So don't use the excuse that you don't have material because you're not blogging or something like that. We have material that you can use on your social media outlets, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's, whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's, I have about 30 different resources outside of ourselves that they can go to, whether it's, realtor.com,
right.
Even Zillow, whatever. There's all kinds of things, MSN.com, all kinds of things that they can get information for their base.
They've got good content on here. So I'm curious, to what degree do you get realtors using it?
It's interesting. I feel like it goes through phases. I think we'll see people using it more this winter because we are more seasonal in Michigan. And a lot of the realtors that I work with, they let their consistency in their marketing go by the wayside with their
get busy, yeah,
Facebook, with their Instagram. So over the winter months, they're all bucking that up, and so you'll see them sharing some of those articles. So it's interesting. It's more cyclical.
Yeah, I recognize a couple of these checklists too. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the way to use them. All right. So this makes me also think of what you mentioned earlier is you have a Facebook VIP page, or is it a group? Is it a page or a group?
It's a group.
It's a group. It's a VIP group for realtors.
Yes. And it's our Realtor Partners. And our Realtor Partners, it's someone that has to send us a few deals a year, or that we are in touch with, or we have coffee with, or we have some sort of strategy session with, that we're really, it's not just someone who wants to use all of our resources, but not use Michigan.
Yeah, right.
Quick story on that. So we had a realtor that we actually we had tried over the years, and it just, for whatever reason, we didn't think it was the right fit. And so we removed them from the VIP realtor list. And oh my gosh, like that. So they called and they said, why did you remove us? And we basically explained, hey, this is a partnership, and we're about, partnerships. Mm-hmm. So since then, I have probably closed 5 loans with this agent.
Really?
And they're a great partner now. They just didn't really get it. So
they were in your private Facebook group?
Yes.
Yeah.
You removed them? Wow, really?
Removed them, and they saw it, and they didn't like that, and now we're partners.
And they're great.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys call your group?
It's just VIP Realtor Group.
Okay. Is it like branded? You got a logo or anything on there?
I do. I have a little, I think, Team Garrison logo on it.
Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. And so you're posting content in there similar to what you're talking about with the what's it called again?
Resource Center.
Yeah.
Yes. So, if we have a blog post, I'll put it on there. If I find something that, I try to do things, even realtor lists that things that why use a realtor.
Right.
Any of those types of things that helps them in their business. I try to send through the Facebook page, but also market information that we've gotten as lenders that they aren't privy to, that they can share with their base, just educational things. The other things that they're using it for is, sometimes you have harder to sell listings, and 85 realtors right now, and they're from, probably 15 different brokerages. They send things to each other like, hey, this is a new listing coming up, or this is a pocket listing or something. So it's, crossing a bunch of different brokerages, not just within their own.
And are you active in there, or is the group generally active?
I would say there are like 6 to 10 people who are the most active, and I respond and I do things, and that's a goal this year, to work on a little bit more to make it a little bit stronger.
Yeah. It does take, involve time, for sure.
Yes.
And setting the expectations with the group that, hey guys, this group isn't for me, it's for you, right? To come and collectively learn together. But it does take time to get them to share and all that. How many are in there roughly right now in that Facebook?
It's about 85 right now, I think.
Oh, wow. All right. That's good size.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. I do like you have some qualifiers though around it. It's not just a catch-all,
Yeah. Well, and we come up when we meet with people, we have a realtor partner commitment that there's a lot of things on there. Like, these are things that we can do for you, but these are expectations.
Is that what you're holding in your hand there? That little?
Yeah, that's my little.
What is so? No, I'm curious about that realtor partner commitment.
So
share that with them in the meeting.
Yeah, not the first meeting, but that's usually a second meeting where we can kind of go over, these are some of the specific things now that we've met with you and I've I've given them a marketing survey, and it's how good are you at this for me, so I can see how we can help
How would
them.
they rate themselves in different marketing?
Yeah. Okay. And then, they want to come back because literally most realtors aren't great at any of that. So they look at it and they go, oh my God, I'm a 3 in all of these things. Or I'm a 2 out of 10. So yeah, I need your help.
Let me ask you this question. And you guys are a little bit unique in that, you've got the different roles here, but how do you, did you ever feel like, well, let me say it this way. Oftentimes I hear LOs, they kind of come back to me with, hey, I'm not an expert on those topics. You know where I'm going, Jill? Yeah. So how do you deal with that? And like attempting to, like we do with the classes, right? It's like, hey, you're not an expert, so to speak, on X. How do you?
Right. Yeah, I guess, I was an educator. And so to me, when I started this position, even there's so many people who are self-taught. I mean, look at Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. To me, you can learn a lot and you can Google a lot and you can read a lot. And for me, all of the content that we're giving them so much of it is so statistical,
Right. It's just facts. Yeah.
And here and there. I mean, yesterday I Googled a bunch of things with NAR because we have a presentation next week and I wanted to just get sure numbers. I don't know. We go in and.
So I would add to that. So I had that same issue when Jill wasn't on board with me, and I was an expert, and I am an expert at mortgages, but not at the marketing piece of it. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was difficult for me, and still is difficult for me to go in and talk about some of these different things. So Jill has made herself in a short period of time an expert at some of these marketing things, but someone that's maybe a one-person team honestly might have a hard time without bringing on a new team member to do some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Frankly, I think it might be harder for your one loan officer type person to be able to do this. But someone that has a team, this member of that team is very, very important. So if you're a person that has a processor and an LP1 and LP2, this is an added team member that they probably should have.
Right.
Even part-time because it can. Yeah. That's what they can send. Yeah.
Well, what would you say then, Rob, let's put it back on you for a second, in today's world, to what degree do you think it's then important, though, for the LO to brush up, right, and understand some of these things themselves? Mm-hmm. I already know where you're going.
Yeah, well, I think it depends on where they see their role. Their team. If they are,
let's just say it's solo shop, like one loan officer, individual LO.
Well, I mean, they certainly should know some of this, but honestly, I think they're probably going to need to hire this.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, let's face it. How long do you want to do business alone, right? Eventually you're going to need assistance and support and help if you're going to get a real business.
Right.
I have to say too, Jeff, that the slideshows are, with the notes and everything. I mean, for any of us, no matter what our background was, we had to do each one the first time and don't know what you're doing. But then each time you tweak it and you get different questions and then your feedback forms. So to me, I would rather go out and do a class, or Rob would rather go out and do a class and have some bumps and learning than not do it. There you go. I would rather do it with some bumps and bruises than not do it. I think do it.
The other piece of this is some people that do a lot of business in mortgages, they like the marketing piece of it. Yeah. They're good at it, and they should do that, and that's what their passion is. But some people, like me, we're more in tune with, I'm going to be really good at advising. That's my role. I'm an advisor, and so I can meet with clients and talk to them and help them manage their debt. And that the marketing piece hasn't really been a huge passion of mine, but it's interesting when we go do these meetings. It's nice, even when it's about marketing, to have me there just to kind of fill in some of the gaps, I think.
Well, let's do this while we're on this thread for a second, Rob. If we could, is explain for us your loan process, from the point of referral, you're on the phone, taking the app, whatever.
Okay. So because we are trying to make this great for all different types of people, there's lots of different ways that people can apply. Okay. So that with our app, they actually can apply right through the app now. They can actually upload their docs through the app. So some of them are taking advantage of that, especially the younger people. They like that. They like to be able to do everything through their phone. They can sign their docs through it. They can track their loan through it. They can upload all their docs, and it's really, really nice. Other people, they want to talk first. So they call in, they either talk to me or my LP1. Mm-hmm. And we take their information, we put it in the system. And then generally, after we have their information and they are financeable, in other words, their credit, we pulled their credit, it looks good, it looks like this is somebody that we can work with, we actually try to meet with them. Mm-hmm. So we schedule an appointment, a pre-qual appointment. We have them come in, bring their documents in, and I personally will sit down with them and meet with them. I schedule those for an hour. I usually will take about 30 to 40 minutes during those meetings. And I'm going through, so most of their information I already have, right? So most of the time I'm spending going through advisory stuff. So this is how the process goes. These are the different loan types. This is why we're putting you in this loan. And then I have them download the app. This is your payment. This is this, and I teach them how to actually run their own payments. So on weekends and the evenings, I see all of the activity, and it's amazing how many people are running payments.
You do a budget. A lot of times you do a budget with them.
So sometimes it's time permitting, but I won't do this with everyone, but I do have a budget that I can go through with them and a debt elimination plan that I can go through with them. So there's a lot of things that we're going through in that pre-qual meeting, and basically you're building a rapport, you're building confidence for them, showing them what we're going to do for them and explaining the process. So then once they're ready, I then will email back to the agent that referred them and to them a recap, because when you're doing this all day long, you forget what you told them. So I do that immediately. That's why I schedule these off for an hour, because I have to do it immediately. As my brain gets older, it gets harder to remember, right? So I'll send that immediately, tell them this is what the price point you should be looking at. This is how much money you're going to need. This is the loan type you're going to do. This is the concessions you're going to need if you do need them. And then I'll save that into the system. And then when the time comes for them to write an offer, I know what I told them. I'll usually will send the pre-approval at that time, but sometimes if they're just I know that they're going to be out shopping, I'll send that pre-approval earlier than that. Normally, I like to have them tell me exactly what they're looking at. What's the property type? What are we doing here before I'll send that pre-approval? Mm-hmm. And I can actually send that now through my app. I can send the
That's nice, convenient. So you can do that from that beautiful lake.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
And then once they actually have a deal going, different loan officers in our office will do different things. Like my partner, for example, he brings them back in again almost 80% of the time. What I'm finding is I've already met with them. I have the report with them. I'm actually have them signing right through our app now. So most of those are eDocs from then on. And so we do a lot of communication during the process. Mm-hmm. We're doing Tuesday update calls with them. Okay. We're keeping them informed at least once a week by email. Yep. And we're keeping the agents informed. So lots of communication, but not really face-to-face.
Sure. Well, but like you said, you've got that first face-to-face meeting. A lot of, what about the younger people? Are you bringing them in as well? I see younger people, right?
What I've noticed is that, a lot of the young people are first-time home buyers, right? So here's what I say to them. I say, listen, we can do everything if you want online and through the app. But what I found as a first-time home buyer, there's lots of things that I can advise you on and help you manage this debt in the future. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to meet with you and have you meet me. And honestly, most of them come in.
That's interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know there's a lot of perception out there about whether or not people want to meet face-to-face. If they're young, like you said, people love to do this stuff through the app. Yes, but they do like the face-to-face.
Yeah, they want the advisor, and statistically that's out there. They want everything online and look at reviews and everything, but then once they've committed to something, they want that application piece. Yeah.
Are you using any tools like, Mortgage Coach or anything like that?
MBS Highway.
MBS Highway. Okay, cool. Nice. Okay. So the next question, we're going to stay on this loan thread for a second. Originator, analytical. Do you track your numbers very closely? Meaning how many conversations to apps to conversions, that kind of stuff?
Yes, I don't have them in front of me, but I have. Yes, I do. Yeah.
All right.
So it's so mainly the way that I do it is I just look at how many credit reports I pulled.
Okay.
It's a little bit difficult. I mean, that's kind of the baseline. So if I pulled a credit report, usually because we're pulling credit on 98, 99% of the people that we talk to, I'll know how many people I talk to, and then I can just do the numbers based off of how many apps we've taken versus how many we've closed. So I know those numbers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you? I know I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't prep for this, but do you have a sense of what your, conversion ratio is? Whatever metric you want to use, if it's for whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about one. It varies with the loan officer and obviously with the quality of the lead that you're getting, but it's somewhere between 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 that we have.
All right. Got it. Very good. And are you guys following a specific talk track or dialogue or script, with first conversations?
So that's actually one of the things that we are kind of working on so that we have a similar experience between loan officer teams. So you kind of get a script just because after doing it for 20 some years, you kind of get that. But we are just now starting to kind of write those down so that different team members are getting used to seeing similar things. So I think scripting is actually really, really important. But it's not been something that we've been great at.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you do have to consciously think of it and document it and things like that. And of course, I'm thinking about this in the context of, do you get rate shopped? How do you deal with it? That kind of stuff.
Obviously you do a little bit. When I control, when they've been referred to me, and the way that they're getting the scripting for the referral is the most important thing.
We teach our realtors. Yeah. We have scripts for realtors.
All right.
So Jill held up the Realtor Partner commitment. One of the commitments is they need to agree to sit down with us and help with referrals and how to refer and what the scripting should look like for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you give us a sense of how you coach them to refer you?
Yeah, so we actually have that written down.
I don't have it right here.
Okay. So the gist of it is we want them to hit on, I have a person that I trust. It's important that they're local when you're writing the offer so that they explain that. So this is a person that I trust and will be able to advise you and walk you through the process and guide you through the process. So
and is available on the weekends and in the evening and is one throat to choke.
Yeah. So basically just hitting on the trust piece of it and the accessibility piece. And then once I start so they have that going into it. So I'm not having to sell. It's not like I got, a lead generation where you're calling off Zillow. Like we don't get those deals. We don't get the Zillow leads. We have a referral from somebody. So already kind of prepped. Hey, I'm calling this guy because I'm going to get great advice. I'm going to have a great experience. Yeah. So honestly, we don't get shopped a lot. Occasionally you'll have that. Well, so-and-so says that they can do this. And here's what I say to that is I say, well, okay, if you have a relationship with that bank, it really doesn't matter. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Yes, calls come in. It really doesn't matter what rate or what term that I give you, because you're going to go with them because the differences between cost and pricing are just so nominal anymore that it's really not going to matter. It's going to come down to that relationship. So if you're thinking I'm going to give you a lot better deal, probably not. That's probably not going to happen. However, if you want to use me because of the experience that you're going to have or the information you're going to get or the guidance that you're going to get, I can tell you that we will, we can match or beat whatever else is out there. So it goes back to the relationship. So if they want to use us, they can use us and they're not going to be any worse off. But if they really want to use their credit union, but they're just calling to see if they can get a better rate, I don't really spend a lot of time on those folks.
I love that. That's good. I really like the fact that you're coaching your realtors on how to refer you, because I think that's an area too many LOs overlook. Maybe they're like reluctant or fearful, or don't think the realtors are going to buy into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or they'll be annoyed with it. Actually, like it. Yeah.
Did you ever face the 3-card realtor?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we train them. We turn it on them.
You do? It's all right. Tell me about it. Yeah.
So if we're going to refer someone to you, Realtor A, we don't give them 2 or 3 cards and say, call these 3 realtors. We say, call this realtor. This realtor will work well with you, for whatever. And so a lot of times when you put it that way, they're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't want you giving 3 cards when you're referring me.
Right. And some of them, they're just trained. Well, we think we have to do that by law. And it's honestly, I just say, if you want to rotate people, that's fine, but you're confusing the client. It doesn't give, you're not edifying us. And it's not a great referral when you're giving 3 cards, because it's either you don't really trust any of them, or you don't have a deep relationship with any of them. So we honestly don't use any realtors that are totally committed to the 3 business card thing.
Yeah.
We might get some onesies, twosies from those people, but we don't work.
Yeah. We get the ones that they can't get done or whatever, but that's not really the relationship we're looking for. There's enough realtors out there that want what we have, that we don't really need to have. Those agents that are referring 3 people, they're not getting anything of real value from their lender relationship.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is change that. So when they do refer, we want them to know that their clients are in the best hands, and it's going to actually help not only their client but them, and help their job.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not 100% committed to that, we need to work on that relationship to show them why it helped.
Do you often get the realtor then who either kind of pushes on you or tries to hold you accountable in terms of that reciprocation back on leads? That's question 1.
Yeah. So occasionally, I'll let Jill answer. But so what I do with that is I just say, listen, if you look at our model is about past clients that were originally referred 80 to 90% of the time by other agents. So we track where that client came from, and we tell them either that client or whoever that client refers, that's going back to the original referring realtor, which is a benefit to the referrer, right?
Yeah.
We just don't get, because we're not advertising and we don't have call centers and things like that, we don't have a lot of ability to generate those leads. However, I do keep track of that, and I have about 30 a year that I am able to refer out, and I refer those out to my best referral partners, and I tell them that, and then I do refer those out, but there's not a ton of them.
Yeah. And you have a system and a process, and I'm sure you explain this to realtors, that in your post-close process, your client touch, follow-up systems and all that, you're always looking for those opportunities for them to either themselves be active to buy again, or people they know, you know what I mean? That whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
We do that, and then we track it back to them.
Right.
And I have been able to refer those types of deals, but that takes some time, because
it does. Yeah.
it takes years.
So I'm guessing then your kind of answer to that question about, hey, what about you sending me leads? Your answer to that in general, right, is, look, that's not my number 1 value proposition to you. My number 1 value proposition to you is an excellent customer experience, so you have a referable experience.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys kind of confirmed that, because it's funny. I've asked some other people about that in the past, and some people think that's like would say that a top producing realtor would call BS on that, and I don't agree with that, because I think any realtor worth their salt understands the value of the experience with that loan officer and realtor, because they're going to blame the realtor no matter what.
Well,
right. So I think someone said this at the when we saw you in Las Vegas. So, basically the realtor kind of is 50% of the transaction. The lender is the other 50% or 48. There's a few other things in there. But so when you're working with a lender that you trust and is going to make you look good, is going to be a great experience for the client, you're not just controlling your 50% of the real estate transaction. You're actually controlling 100%, because it's lender and you together. When the deal's done, a lot of times they don't know the difference between, okay, that did not go well, so my realtor's that realtor didn't do a good job,
right,
and the owner didn't do a good job, or vice versa. So people who want that 100%, I think those, so in all of these coffee clutch conversations and lunches and all of these things that we do, we can tell pretty easily. I mean, I would say probably 8 out of 10 people that we meet with are going to be those people. And that's why they're meeting with us in the first place.
Right.
In a while, someone leaves and I'm like, probably won't be getting in touch with that person again. I mean, intuitively, after that first meeting,
It's what I've found is that some realtors, like we've got like some very, very good friends that are realtors that don't refer us. It's just sometimes they're just not.
But they don't refer anyone. They don't really care.
They're not refers, and they don't care. They don't see the value in it, and they don't do it, which is fine. But you got to spend your time with those few that are going to be really good and see the value in it. And that's why you have to sift through enough people to find those people.
I think we kind of mentioned it before. Is like there's enough agents out there who will do business on generally your terms that you don't necessarily need to sacrifice kind of your business model.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so we do just kind of in that same vein. We get asked to do desk rentals a lot, Zillow leads, and we do some of that more out of more out of just trying to support their business. We don't really get anything from that.
All right, so let's close it out here and talk about what you're doing in the community, Jill, to get exposure for Michigan Mortgage. Just share with us some of those things and why do you do that?
Okay, so we've always been really active in the community. It's just a great place to live. So one of the things that I like to do is we do, it used to be monthly, now it's quarterly, but it's called a Hometown Highlight. Mm-hmm. I like to find people doing positive, good things in our community. So maybe it's a new company that's opening and it's really healthy juices, or maybe it's someone who is doing a really positive podcast in the area. So I reach out to people and interview them and put together a blog post. We put it on our email or our website, but then we've got about 3,000 people on our business Facebook page for Michigan Mortgage. And then I have 3,000 personally. And so what we try to do is disseminate that out so that they have exposure, and it's not them promoting themselves. It's like someone else promoting the good deeds and the good work that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been actually really fun for me to do.
I'm looking at your Facebook page, by the way. That looks great. That logo at the top. Happy fall, y'all. That's really cool.
Thanks.
All right, guys. So listen, I know you're both very busy. You've got 59 deals in the pipeline. You need to get back to them. And Jill, I'm sure you got some realtors to talk with and, make relationships happen. Why don't we do this? For those that want to reach out and learn more about you, I want to make sure that, number one, they check out your Facebook business page, because that to me is a smoking hot business page. And the engagement you're getting from that, like, I'm going to steal this just so you know. Your your emoji of the month for September. Yeah. I love that. You got 37 comments on that. And that's awesome. That's great engagement. So for those that want to find that page, it's facebook.com/We Are Mich Mortgage. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. We Are Mich, MICH Mortgage. How about your website? Where would people find you there?
So www.michmortgage.com. And I think, go to the Realtor resource page so they can see kind of what we're doing to work with our Realtor partners. And they just have to put their email in. We don't do anything with it. It's just, we just didn't want everyone going to that and taking our resources, other lenders and everybody else. Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys are doing great things out there. It's a pleasure and honor to know you. I appreciate you making time for us today, especially with the crazy Wi-Fi situation going on there. So you go tackle that problem.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. We love working with you. We appreciate all you're doing for us. Yep.
It's my pleasure. Hopefully we can meet up again in person. So everybody, listeners, thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.